Kal Kadosh, Erev Tov, Bava Metzia Daf Yud 12a. We are by the Mishnah. The Mishnah is actually halfway down the page. So the Mishnah starts, Metziat beno ubito ketanim, Metziat avdo v'shivchato kenaanim, Metziat ishto hare elu shelo. Meaning, your son and daughter, they find something. Your eved or shivcha, they find something. Right? Obviously, we're talking about an eved and shivcha kenani. Metziat ishto, whatever your wife finds, hare elu shelo. It belongs to you. Yeah? Yeah? Yes. 12a, but in the middle of the page. Okay? So, harelu shelo, it belongs to you. What does it mean? It doesn't belong to them. It belongs to you. The Torah gave it to you. So now it says, Metziat beno ubito gdolim, but if it was your older children, meaning above bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, right, that they find something, Metziat avdo v'shivchato ha'ivrim, or your slave and maidservant find something, but again, the Jewish, not the non-Jewish ones, Metziat ishto shegisha, or whatever your wife, that she divorced her, your ex-wife, whatever she finds, it belongs to them. Even though he didn't give the ketubah yet. Yes? Over the above age of bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah and bar mitzvah, it does not belong to the father, it belongs to them. Why? The father does not inherit it. The father does not it's not a good word, inherit. He doesn't get it. Right? Arelu shelahen, it belongs to them. Let's see the Gemara, why. So let's see what goes on. Amar Shemuel, says Shemuel, Mipnei Gemara, Yudbet Amud Aleph, towards the middle. Mipnei ma'amru mitziat katan le'aviv. Why is it be'emet that the child, he finds something, and it goes to the father? Why? Imagine right now, you could have a 12-year-old boy. He comes, he finds $100 on the street. The father comes and he says, give it to me. He said, no, papa. No, give it to me. Why is it that the father is zocheh in a mitziyah of his son when he's a katan? So says the Gemara, shebesha shemotza meritza etzel aviv ve'eno me'acher biyado. The reason why is because immediately, the second that he finds it, he brings it to his father. And he doesn't leave it by himself at all. So therefore, since he doesn't even leave it by himself, he's only picking it up for the father. Meaning, a little child, it's automatically for the father. Right? Abba, if I here, look. You understand? So immediately everything is going towards the father. So says the Gemara, Lememra de Savar Shmuel, are you going to now tell me that Shmuel holds Katan lele zechial l'nashem midoraita? That midoraita Katan can never acquire anything for himself? Fatanya, we learned in a Braita, Hasocher et hapoel. Yeah, if you're going to be socher et hapoel, which means you're going to come and you're going to get a poel, a worker, right? And what happens is that this person is anani, right? He's a poor person. Yelaket beno acharav, his son is allowed to come and take all the leket, which is from behind him, like all the other aniyim. Lemechza ul shalish ul ravia, which means, but if he actually comes and he receives a half, third, or a quarter of the field, meaning that that's his, that's his work, that's his salary, right? That he's receiving these things. So therefore, it's kilu that he's a shutaf, he's a partner. So therefore, he's not lo yelakeh beno acharav. Meaning, if he's getting paid per hour, so then his son, again, he's an ani, and he's taking all the things in the field. So if he's getting paid per hour, his son, which is also an ani, could come and collect behind him. But if he's getting paid by shlishul ravia, right, mechsa shlishul ravia, which means half, third, and a quarter, which means that kilu, he's like an arisut. It's like that he's like a partner in the field, that he's getting such an amount, lo yelakeh beno acharav. Rabbi Yosef comes and he says, Benkach u benkach, right? What does he say? Benkach u benkach, yelaket beno ve'ishto acharav. He could always come and collect after him, whether it's the wife or the children as well. V'amar Shemuel, says Shemuel, halacha ke Rabbi Yosef. The halacha is like Rabbi Yosef, that they're allowed to. Now says the Gemara, one second. If you're going to tell me that the child acquires for himself midoraita, because then when he's collecting for himself. Vavua, then the father is being zoche from the son. So one more time, how does it work? The child comes, he collects it, he gets it, it's his, and now the father takes it from the child. But if you're going to tell me katan ele zechial l'nasheh, that a child does not inherit, does not take anything, he cannot collect anything, so if he's taking it, it's for his father. Avua ashidu, the father is considered an ashir because he's like the bala sadeh. He's like the owner of the field. One more time, if you come and you're working like a sharecropper, and therefore you're taking half of the produce, or even a third of the produce, or a quarter of the produce, it's kilu that you own the field. You don't actually own the land. It's not like but technically you own the produce in the field. So you're a rich guy. So therefore, if the child is only really bemet taking from you, and you're the one that's all automatically getting it, you're rich. How does your child come and collect? You own part of the field. What's going on? How does that work? Amai. Right? So why is it why is it that the wife and the children are allowed to take it afterwards? So answers the Gemara, you're right. Shemuel Tama de Tana Didan Kamar. Shemuel is talking about the reasoning of the Tana, but he himself doesn't hold of it, which means he doesn't hold like this Shita of the Mishnah, but he holds like Rabbi Yoseh. Right? That means really Be'emet, he himself, Shemuel himself holds that really Be'emet, he is Zocheh himself. Right? Just like we said, Halakha Rabbi Yoseh. But then afterwards, the father gets it from the son. Meaning, who's Be'emet taking it? The son. And the son Be'emet acquires it for himself. But then afterwards the father comes and he takes it from the son. Okay? Makes sense until here? Okay, very good. Says the Gemara, the Sava Rabbi Yoseh Katani leZechyam Doraita. One second. This was a beautiful explanation. Right? What did we just say? We just said that really Be'emet, a child could acquire. But even though he could acquire and it's his, the father comes and he takes it from the son. Does Rabbi Yosef actually hold that a child can actually come and acquire? Right? That there is Zechiyah Midoraita? But we learned in the Mishnah Gitin, Metziat Cheresh Shoteh Vekatan Yesh Behem Mishum Gezel. Only because of the Shalom. Meaning, if you have a Cheresh Shoteh Vekatan, that they come and they find something and they take it. Right? Imagine. Here, look. The child comes, he picks this up. Are you allowed to take it from him? No. But why not? Only because of Darkei Shalom. Meaning, technically speaking, if you're going to say that he didn't actually acquire it, I'm allowed to take it from him. But it's because of Darkei Shalom, we don't want to start fights, right? We saw this, you remember? So therefore, you're not allowed to do it. Now, one second, Ribono Shel Olam. You just said, Cheresh Shoteh Vekatan, and you said that the only reason why you're not allowed to take it away from him is because of Darkei Shalom. One second. If he's Zocheh Midoraita, that's 100% stealing. The Katan comes, he picks it up, it's his. So why is that a Darkei Shalom? Rabbi Yosef Omer, Gezel Gamur, it's Gezel Gamur. V'amar Rav Chasta says Rav Chasta, Gezel Gamur midivreihem. No, it means it's only with the Rabbanan. Nafkamina lotzia b'dayanin. Only if you can you take it up from dayanim, which means the Cheresh Shoteh Vekatan, they could go to a bet din and they could come and they could actually try to take it out. And the bet din are going to take it away because of Gezel Gamur, because they made a chumra in their takana that it's like Gezel Gamur. But according to Tanakama, the Bedin will not even take it out. They just say, Lechatchila, don't do it. But B'diavad, if you did it, it's yours. Meaning, Lechatchila, according to Tanakama, don't take it away from the Cheresh Shoteh Vekatan. Why? Because it's like Ki'ilu Darkei Shalom. But if you did take it away, yes, Shelo Yakpidu, Shelo Yeh Merivot, Shelo Yeh, yeah, we don't want the balagan. But technically speaking, if you did do it, it's going to be okay. So says the Gemara, right, again, according to Rabbi Yosef, according to Rabbi Chasta, the child also does not acquire Mina Torah. It's only Midrabanan. So Rabbi, but rather Rabbi says, Asau kemi shalchu b'nemushot. It's like that they were already the aniyim that they came by, the nemushot that came at the end. You remember the nemushot? We saw this in Kiyam Masechta. The second, exactly. So we said that it was going to be the second group of people that were coming. So we said there were two different explanations. You remember it was either the father and the son, right? You remember that the kilu, that the father was coming and then the son was coming and collecting after which they fell from the father. So that those are nimushot. We asked what exactly is nimushot. Okay? So we said the aniyim gufayu maschid detayu, because then the aniyim they already give up hope. Right? Savri, he said, beredehach melakteleh. The son of that guy, he's going to already take it already. Why? Because it's going to be mutar for anybody to take it, and even the Balaseda himself could take it. Because there's no problem then that a son could take it. Meaning like this, if the Nimushot already came and they already took it, everybody gives up hope. Why? Because that means it's like, basically it's like, that they had the first grabs, and then you have the second grabs. For sure that they already took everything. And I said, why? Because Kilu, there's nothing left. Yeah, there's nothing left. Okay? So, Amal Ravada Bar Matan al-Abai, it says Ravada Bar Matan al-Abai, V'chimutal la'adam l'arbi tzari b'toch sadeu kedei sheyiru aniyim v'yivruchu. I'm going to ask you a question. Can you put a lion in the field in order to shoo away all the aniyim? Imagine right now, you're supposed to have aniyim come to your field. And they're supposed to take pe'ah, they're supposed to take leket, shikha, these things. All of a sudden, what am I going to do? Baba Haki is going to pull a fast one. He comes, he puts one of these lions in the field. Right? People think it's actually true. They come close and it's got a sensor. Raw! What happens? They come, they go running. Is he allowed to do that? Obviously not. So what's going on over here? The same thing here. If you're going to come and you're going to tell me, right, you're not allowed to do that. So how could it be that you're going to cause...
If one has problem with his heart, he can die.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. He's going to call...
You have it.
I remember it. So says the Gemara, you can't just come and start putting a lion in order... So how does it help now that you're putting your son behind him? Because remember, you're the guy that's working. You're putting your son behind you. By putting your son behind you, it's like you're putting the lion there. Because you already know that nobody's going to come anymore. No, none of the aniyim are going to come. Ela amar Rava, but rather Rava says, Yud bet amud bet, asu she'eno zoche kezoche. Which means, even though you're right, the child cannot acquire, right? Here, to do with leket, the rabbis made it that he could acquire. Right? That according to Rabbi Yosef, it is considered that he acquired. Why? Maitama. Aniyim gufayu nichaleu, it's better for the aniyim that they wanted to do such a thing. Because just like that this guy should come and be able to come and take it, so too their own children should take it behind them. Which means like this. If you come and you say that this guy that's working is not able to come and to have his son collect behind him, no other ani will be able to have their son behind them. So for them, they prefer for you to say it's permitted, right? In order that their own children could also do it behind them. So imagine you have a poor person, so his son is coming behind him and he's collecting as well. Upliga de Rabbi bar Abba, and this argues Rabbi bar Abba. Then Rabbi bar Abba and Rabbi Yochanan, lo gadol mamash, velo katan mamash. In our Mishnah, we made a differentiation between a gadol and a katan, between above bar mitzvah and above below bar mitzvah. We're not talking about that. Ela gadol v'samuch al shulchan aviv, ve'ze katan. Ve'katan ve'eno samuch al shulchan aviv, zeu gadol. You know what it means? Dependent or not. You could have, nowadays Baba Haki was speaking to this, you could have a 20-year-old and he's still a katan. Why is he a katan? Because he's still dependent upon you. Meaning, where does he eat? Off you. Who pays the rent? You. Who pays the food? You. So therefore, that's what I said. We were talking about even 20 and even more than 20. Right? Do you remember? We spoke about it. Yeah, you're right. So what happens? Because they're being samuch al shulchan aviv. What does that mean? The parents are the ones supporting. So therefore, he could be whatever age that you want. He's still considered a katan. He's a minor. Why? But then sometimes you have a katan, but he's considered a gadol. Why? He's a 10-year-old, but he's fully independent. Yeah, nowadays you don't find that at all. But once upon a time, you would have it. You could have a 10-year-old, the pashut, that he's working, and he's doing all these things. And so imagine, so he's a gadol. He's called a gadol, because that's what he's doing. Okay? So therefore, that's what he comes and he says, everything depends upon the father that's giving the parnasah or not. Nothing to do with gadol and katan, to whether he does acquire it, not acquire it, nothing to do with it. It all depends upon the father. Okay? Next, 2 dots. Okay? Metziat avdov shivchato ivrim areu shel atzmam. We made a differentiation between an eved and shivcha kananit and eved shivcha ivrit. Eved v'shivcha kananit, it belongs to you. Eved v'shivcha ivrit, it belongs to them. Says the Gemara, amai, why? Lo ye'elo poel. At the end of the day, he's like a worker. So anything the worker gets, it's yours. The Tanya, we learned in a bright. Metziat poel le'atzmo, it belongs to him. But medvarim, one of these words, bizman shama lo nakeshim yayom adorimi, only if he came and he gave him a specific work. But if he told him, we learned this Gemara already, but if he told him, do for me work today, so anything that he finds belongs to the balabait. So therefore, the eved and the shivcha is not any worse that it should belong to you, to the balabait. So answers the Gemara, here we're talking about that the eved, he comes, and his milacha is for a certain milacha, which is basically, it's like that, which means that, for example, even in the olden days, sometimes you would take a slave, and they were very good at a specific job. So, for example, they could be very, very good at chopping wood. They could be very, very good at polishing diamonds. Very good at whatever the job is. But sometimes you have sometimes, or the majority of the times, the slave was an overall slave, right? You come, you get him to do every single job that there is. Here, he's good at this. You don't want to change him to anything else. You only want him doing this. Why? Because it's so important and he could accomplish so much, it doesn't make sense. You're going to come and channel his work to something else. It just doesn't make sense. Okay? So he says, so because of that, that's why who does it belong to? It belongs to you. Right? Sorry, it belongs to him. Because since it's not that he's working in general, he's only working for a specific avodah, so that avodah only belongs, right, to you. Next. Rava, he comes and he gives another answer. Rava Amar, B'magbia metzia im melachto askinan. He did not stop his job whatsoever. Which means if he comes and he's working for you, and he continues working for you, and he picks something up while working for you, it's not yours. Because he's not working on your behalf. It's kilu at the exact same moment I'm still working for you, which means like this. If I'm working for Baba Haki, I can't just all on the side come and I'm working for him and start making $1 million on the side doing something else. Why? If I'm working for him, I'm employed by him. He owns me for that time. But if it's at the exact same moment that I'm doing something for him, so for example, I'm coming and I'm doing a delivery for him, and I'm going from Opaloka, I'm going to Surfside. And by the way, somebody was coming and he says, right, I stop at a red light, and all of a sudden somebody comes and he says, are you going to Surfside? I said, yes. I'll give you $10. You take me to Surfside? I said, yes. I take him to Surfside. Since I didn't waste his time, I didn't make him lose, those $10 are mine. Those $10 are mine. The same thing. He was Magbia Metzia im melachto, with the work. Rav Papa comes and he gives a third answer. You came and you rented him out, which means just to come and to find things, right? Which means do this, find things. Right? That he went. That basically what happened was that the river came up, and all of a sudden it's full of fish. So what happens is that now when it goes down, there's tons of fish. So you come and you pay someone and you say, give me all the fish that are all around. Why? Because basically now they're on the dry land. Everyone understood what happened. The river banks came up. All the fish come up, and all of a sudden, sometimes what happens is the water comes back down, but the fish stayed there. So you come and you pay somebody, hey, come. Pick up all the fish for me, all around. Go, and you pay somebody to find the mitzvah. Because it's a mitzvah at the end of the day. They don't belong to me. It was hefker. It comes. So I'm paying someone to do a mitzvah. So in such a case, right, when we're talking about in such a case, he comes and he says that there's a lot of so you're paying them for that. It comes out it's for a specific job, but if you did it for stam, then you're right. Meaning since you only did it just to find these fish, so it's only for the fish. It's not going to be for anything else. Hai shivcha echidami. Ask the Gemara, what's the case of the shivcha? If she has 2 pubic hairs, ma bayagabe. What's she doing? Remember, a shivcha, we're talking about an amma ivriya. Because she's shivcha ivriya, she's not really called a shivcha, she's called an amma ivriya. The father came and he sold her. Right? Now, she's either supposed to get married, but she could do miyun, you remember? Or she could basically get out of there. Which means, if right now she's already at the age of that she has 2 pubic hairs, what's she still doing? She should get free. What's she still doing by the master? My gabe. If she does not have the 2 pubic hairs, if right now the father is alive, it belongs to her father. And if the father is not alive, tepuk b'mitatav. So then she should go out immediately because of the death of the father. Ta'amar Shakish says Shakish, Amma ivriya kona et atzma b'mitatav min shut adon mikal v'chomer. Listen to this chidush. I don't know if we learned it until now. Pay attention. An amma ivriya is supposed to get married to the master. You remember, or his son. If it comes at the time of 13, she could always just say, I don't want, not 13, 12, sorry. When she has a few, I don't want. That's called miyun. But now remember, miyun usually cannot be done against the father. Because the father, when he got her married, that's doraita. It's only if it was the brother or the mother, so then she could do miyun. Correct? That's what we learned. Here, all of a sudden, the father got her married. And now the father dies. She goes free. A woman acquires herself free, and a mahivriya, she acquires herself free with the death of her father from a kal v'chomer. So says the Gemara, this is brought down in the Gemara Masechet Kiddushin. So says the Gemara, Velavi totiv Shakish. He comes and he says, 1 second. Why? Because there the kal v'chomer is that just like when she hits puberty, she gets free. So too, the same thing, right? The death of the father takes her out as well. So says the Gemara, didn't we actually just say that it's not true? Right, that she's not going to be taken out free. So the so why don't we just bring a proof from you? This is a question against it. Because here, one more time, if she has a father, it should belong to her father. And if she doesn't have a father, she should have gone out free. It's not true. Right? It's not true that she should have gone out free. So says the Gemara, no, you're right. Lo'olam really be'emet, the father is alive. Umayaren shalem, what does it mean it belongs to them? Lapuke de Rabba, it comes to exclude the Rava. That means that the ikar of the kavanah is that it belongs to the father. Right? Because the father is zoche in it. But it means it belongs to them and not to the master. That's what it meant. It didn't mean that it doesn't belong. It belongs to her. But really, it meant it's her father. And the father is alive now. Okay? Next, 2 dots. Metziat ishto. The wife. Whatever the wife finds, it belongs to the husband. So says the Gemara, girsha. But then we said that if he got divorced, no. Says the Gemara, if he got divorced, obviously it doesn't belong to him. He divorces, it's his ex-wife. He's going to have anything to do with the ex-wife? Nothing. What are we dealing with? We're talking about that he's divorced and not divorced. Says anytime the husband is obligated to give the parnasah. So why is the rabbi say that you have to give her parnasah? Because why? What does that mean like this? One more time. What happens if he gives the get and there's a doubt if the get was a good get or not? So she's divorced and not divorced. What does that mean? She has to get a new get. That's what it means. She's divorced, but she's not divorced. So there's many nafkaminas. For example, if somebody tries to do kiddushin, she's already, technically, she's not really divorced. Or she is divorced. She's in limbo. But as long as she's not 100% divorced, the husband still has to give her parnasah. So says the Gemara, the fact that the husband still has to give her parnasah, whatever she finds still goes to the husband. Why? Because if she finds that it goes to her house or herself, but the husband still has to give her parnasah, he's going to go crazy. He's going to say, I don't understand. I have to give you food, but now whatever you find goes to you. So he said, no, you're right. Until you don't completely get rid of her, you have to give her, you have to give her parnasah, but whatever she finds goes to her. Says the Mishnah, Matzah shitre chov, Yudbet Amubet Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, Matzah shitre chov. What happens if right now if you find a debt document? Remember, there was no name, but there was a document. Whatever my name is, I owe you $100. This is the tarikh, and so if right now it's written in the document, achrayut nechasim, which means that he has obligation like a lien, so lo yachzid, you never give it back, right, to the malvet, to the lender. Because betim will come, they'll actually collect it. So therefore you don't give it back. Right? But if there's no lien on the properties, right, you do give it back. Why? Because they come and there's meaning that nothing's going to happen with it. But the betin are not going to collect with it. So you don't have to worry about it. So you could give it back. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Chachamim argue and they say benkach doesn't matter. Right? What are we talking about? Lo yachzid, you don't give it back. Why? Because the betin, they're going to come and they are going to collect from them, and therefore, since they're going to collect from them, you never give it back. Says the Gemara, and what are we dealing with? If you're going to tell me that the guy admits, meaning, what happens if the borrower admits that he owes the money? So therefore, why are you not going to give it back? The guy admits. The guy says, I owe him money. So why are you not going to give him back the document? Hamodeh. Let's say he doesn't admit. He says, no, I don't owe him money anymore. I paid it off. So even if it doesn't have a chayut nechsim, why are you going to give it back? So Nehidelo Gabi Mishavta, you're right. He can't collect from any lien properties, but he could still collect from Bnei Chorim. So if the guy's coming and he's saying, but I already paid him back, why are you giving it back? You understood the case? Meaning, I don't understand what's the case. If the guy says, I owe him the money, so what do you care whether it has a lien, doesn't have, give it back. He says, I still owe him the money. And if he says that he paid him back, so why are you giving it back to the guy? You're right. He can't collect from properties that have a lien, but he could still collect from any movable objects, from any nechasim metaltalim. So answers the Gemara, Leolam, really we're talking about keshchayav modeh. Really be'emet, the guy admits that he owes him. Here, the chashina that we suspect, Shema katav lilvot benisan velo lavat tishri. Maybe he wrote the document, right? He comes and he says like this. Maybe be'emet, he wrote it that he borrowed it in Nisan, but really be'emet, he only borrowed it in Tishri. What does that mean? Sometimes it happens that, for example, we're going to write a document and say, okay, fine, I owe you the money this. But when did you actually get the cash? Sometimes here he went to the extreme. From Nisan to Tishri is 6 months. But sometimes it could happen, but at the time you get the cash, right, it's like sometimes a mortgage. You think a mortgage, you get the money the next day. Sometimes by the time you actually you sign the documents, and sometimes it could be only, what do you think? You ask for 90 days or you ask for a whole bunch of... Why? Because you know that by the time the money comes in, it's never exactly when you sign. It's always going to be later on. Sometimes it could be quick. Sometimes it depends on circumstances, but it takes time. Because of that, we don't want... That means even though you're admitting to it, we don't want you to do that. So says the Gemara, so always suspect of that. Any type of a document, always suspect that. Why is it that we're only if they lost it, even if they didn't lose it, you get a paper... It has a document. Maybe Be'emet he didn't actually collect it on the same day. Maybe he didn't give the debt until much later. So therefore, right, he's going to Baba Haki, he's going to come and give me a debt document that Mordechai owes him $1 million. Yeah, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to say, listen, it's written in the state. Maybe Be'emet he only collected it much later. Automatically, without finding. Nobody lost anything. Nobody did anything. This is the way that it is. V'gamarnu. Says the Gemara, Kol shtare lo ri'eh. Hani re. He says, no. any type of a debt document, there's no reuta, there's nothing bad about it because he has it in his hand. Here, they lost it, so there's already something bad about it. So says the Gemara, okay, fine. That we're going to write a document for a borrower, even though the lender is not there with him. How do you write it? Why don't we suspect maybe he wrote it to borrow Nisan, but he didn't borrow it until Tishri, and then he's going to take it away from the lekuchot shelo kadin, right? Amar Ravasi answers, Mishtare hakna'a tehasha ben asher. We're talking about that he's actually being mishabed, the actual from the time of the debt document, right? Whether he lent him or not. It's called a shtere hakna, which means whether you're getting the money today or not, I'm actually giving you the kinyan. You're doing it. From now, I obligate everything. That's called shtere hakna. So that's why the second that you do that, you're going to be mishabed yourself in order that it's going to be yours.